Okay, we'll call this March 20th regular meeting of the Ocean Township Board of Adjustment meeting to order. Nicole, can you take a roll call, please?
Chairwoman Beal, Vice Chairman Fuller,
Here.
Mr. Ashkenazi,
Here.
Mr. DiGennaro, Mr. DeLuomo,
Here.
Mr. Chamorro, Ms. Lippman,
Here.
Mr. Pugielli, Mr. Lineski, Mr. Karen.
Please rise for the salute to the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The notice requirements of the Open Public Meeting Law for this meeting have been satisfied. Copy of the notice having been sent to the Asbury Park Press, the Coaster, and filed with the Office of the Township Clerk. Emergency notice. There is an emergency exit through the courtroom doors and 2 exits at the rear of the room. Please, no smoking in this room. Board policy is no new cases will be started after 9 p.m. and no new testimony taken after 9:30 p.m. In addition, the applicant will be limited to 45 minutes of testimony. All meetings will be video and audio taped and shown on the Township of Ocean's community cable channel, Channel 22 on Verizon Fios, Channel 77 on Cablevision. All cell phones must be turned off. If you need to make a phone call, please step outside of the meeting room. Okay, on to resolutions to be memorialized. Can we do all 3 of these at the same time?
Yes. You can do the 3 that we have. No, I don't know if you need them all together. You may have to do
The resolutions.
the resolution. You may have to do the amended one
I think
separately.
there's only one, right?
There's only one person that can vote on the amended one.
Okay, that's fine. So we'll do them all separate. Well,
That's
I mean,
fine.
Okay,
we'll do 2
let's start with
together.
6 Phoenix Parkway, right?
That's fine.
Block 32, Lot 6.
Okay, so Mr. Ashkenazi,
Yes.
Mr. DeLuomo,
Yes.
and Ms. Lippman.
Yes.
And you still, who made the motion and who seconded it?
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
Go ahead. That was the motion.
I made the motion.
Second.
Okay. 324 Roosevelt Avenue, Block 22, Lot 7. I'll make a motion.
Second.
Mr. Ashkenazi,
Yes.
Mr. DeLuomo,
Yes.
and Ms. Lippman.
Yes.
And did we have
The third one is the revised resolution. It is not French Baptist Church. It's not on the agenda. It's
Oh, sorry.
no, that's okay. It's not your fault. I'm struggling with the name at the moment.
Pagba Salvino.
Yes, thank you. Yes.
Okay, so it's 318 Parkview.
Only one person was
So who's eligible?
Mr. Ashkenazi, that's it.
That's it.
So I'm going to motion.
Yeah, he can just. You vote yes.
Yes.
Okay, sounds good. I've actually been in that position before, and sometimes there's only one person available.
Yeah,
So.
and we could still move to, I can make a motion to vote on it, right?
No,
Even though it was
because you didn't hear the application.
Oh.
I was
So.
here.
Not this one, this is a different one.
For 318 Parkview,
It was back in December.
it has, the thing shows Lisa as being absent.
In December?
But
Yeah.
if we signed for that we watched it, is that?
It doesn't matter. You had not to vote on the application. So we'll just note for the record that he was the only member here, and it's acceptable. You're good.
I'm done.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it.
All right, the following cases have been requested to be carried to the April 1st, 2025 meeting agenda, and both of these will notice again for the meeting.
Yes.
That's correct, right?
Yes. The IAAT two.
Yeah,
their
there's
two
an amended
applications.
agenda. There's an amended agenda. That was emailed. So, because we have 519. So IAAT will renotice.
Okay.
So we have another one that's asked to, which is 519 Wildwood, which doesn't want to
Yeah,
be
please.
noticed.
And Mr. Chairman, just so you know, with regard with IAAT, I've spoken with their counsel and I've advised them that if they ask to be carried again, and they don't appear on April 1st, that I'm going to recommend that you actually dismiss the application without prejudice, because it's just been carried on for so long. Even though they're renoticing, but still, we don't want to hold it on the docket forever.
Okay. Okay, so just for the record, that IAAT Services LLC, 1418 Highway 35, and then IAAT Services LLC, 9222 Highway 35. Both of those will be on the April 1st agenda. And then we have, thank you for the updated agenda here, Emerald Jade LLC, 519 Wildwood Road, Block 6105, Lot 11 in Ocean Township in the R5 zone. That will also be carried to April 1st.
Right, and that one has to be carried, I believe, because there are only going to be 4 members here tonight, and which I completely understand.
Okay. And they will not notice. They will not need a new notice.
Right, so if anyone's here on the Emerald Jade application, which is 519 Wildwood Road, that is not being heard tonight, as you just heard. If you want to participate in that application, you need to be here on April 1st, 2025 at 7 p.m. You will not receive any further notice, so you need to be here at that time.
Okay, that brings us to new cases. Michael and Elise Linser, 717 Corley's Avenue, Block 65, Lot 8 in the R4 zone. Hi, come on up, please.
All right, and Mr. Chairman, as they're approaching, I'm going to mark in the following exhibits into evidence. Exhibit A1 will be the variance application itself. Exhibit A2 is the pool as-built plan, last revised 9/19/2024. Exhibit A3 is the proposed pool plot plan, last revised 4/15/2022. Those are the applicant's exhibits. The board's exhibits are the board planner's report dated 1/23/2025, which we're going to mark in as Exhibit B1 as a board one. Exhibit B2 will be the board engineer's report dated 1/22/25. And then finally, Exhibit B3 will be the zoning officer's report dated 1/8/2025.
Okay, Mr. and Mrs. Linser, are you both going to be testifying?
Why don't I just swear you both in? Because invariably you'll want to say something if I don't swear you in. So, do you both swear that all the testimony you'll give this evening will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
And just state your names for the record.
Elise Linster.
Michael Linser?
Thank you. And you are the property owners, correct?
Yes.
Thanks.
Okay, so what brings you in this evening?
Basically, 3 or 4 years ago, we put in a pool and hired a qualified company to put it in, and they did a beautiful job, and they basically put it in beautifully, and they put the pavers around the pool, but they put the pool equipment in they were supposed to get approved plans to put it in the rear of the property based on the approved plans from the, of course, board, and we were not there, and during the winter, crazy winter, they decided to make their own decision, and they put it in the front of the pool. They said it would be a little bit nicer to put it in front of the yard and the corner of the front of the yard, and of course we, unbeknownst to us, and of course what happened, and also the setbacks. Minor setbacks of around the pool. I think we went over about a foot on the setbacks from the pavers that we chose, and that's basically what we did on the rear. We scaled back all of our previous requests for.
Okay. So what we had on the agenda here mentions a pool patio. I think you mentioned that.
Yes.
Pool equipment location, and then a shed as well.
The shed was pre-existing when we purchased the house.
So, Mr. President, yeah, the shed was there when they purchased the home, but we cannot find any record that it was legal on the location.
Okay.
So that's what they're here also.
Okay, so so it was there already, but it's not in a good spot. So you want to get a variance to keep it where it is, right?
Doesn't bother us.
Okay. Ben, do you have any comments?
Sure. I'll refer to Jim Hagan's report. So as they explain, the application is to keep some existing improvements that are already there. The original application was for a patio expansion and a hot tub. That has since been withdrawn, and they're just here for improvements that have already been done, and as they explained. The setbacks for some of the improvements, such as the shed, the pool equipment, and the pool surround, are not dimensioned on the plan. But from my measurements, it looks like a couple of variances are required. As Colleen said, for the shed, the pool surround is 4 feet wide. If it was 3 feet wide, you would measure the setback from the actual pool. Because it's wider than 3 feet, you measure it from the edge of the pool surround. So with that being said, there's a 7-foot offset from the side yard instead of 10 feet, or instead of 11 feet. The pool equipment is 27 feet from the front yard, where it's supposed to be 30 feet. It's still not as close as the front of the house, so that is to be considered. And the existing fence, I'll ask you two, is what can you explain what the height of the fence and what it looks like?
The front fence?
Yeah, the front fence and the around the sides.
Yeah, we changed it already.
Is it what's the height of the fence?
4 feet.
It's 4 feet. Okay.
Yeah, 4 feet now, and not what's it called?
It's not solid. There's,
It's got pickets.
yeah.
Yeah, it's got pickets and straight.
Okay, so the 4-foot fence is fine, doesn't require variance. In Jim's report, with regard to location of the fence and the pool equipment in the front yard, the intent of the ordinance is that accessory structures and fences exceeding a certain height not be located in the front of the residence. Since the fence and pool equipment are located behind the front yard setback of the existing residence, I believe their location is consistent with the intent of the ordinance, and there are no concerns. With the shed, typically in prior applications, the board's treatment of a similar circumstance has been to allow it to remain, but if it's replaced in the future, a new shed should be fully conforming to the ordinance. And from an engineering standpoint, I don't have any issues.
Thank you.
Mr. Malik's wearing 2 hats tonight.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody have any questions?
You said, excuse me, you said that the shed was there when you purchased the house, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you were issued a CO to move into the house?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions from the public? Could you come on up? You can state your name and address.
Ms. Raymond, do you swear any testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you. What's your name?
Joan Brown.
Okay.
I live on Ivy Place, right around the corner. And I just want to say we are not really affected by this. We've seen it. It's a beautiful pool. It's a beautiful front fence.
Thank you.
And actually, my daughter sold them the house. So as to the shed, it was there when my daughter lived there. It was there when she bought it. It was there. She used to rent the house like they do. She had to get a CO every single time. So she probably had 5 or 6 COs, and nobody said anything about the shed. It's a cute little shed. And quite frankly, there's no one on the other side. It doesn't really bother anyone. So I had a light issue, but we discussed it just now, and we resolved all that. So I
Thank you.
personally have no objections. to
And
this.
Ms. Brown, I'm sorry, your address again?
505 Ivy
505
Place.
Ivy. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Those are the best kind of issues.
That's right. Thank you.
Any other questions from the audience, from the members of the public? Any comments from the members of the public? Okay.
I have one more question.
Oh, sure. Go ahead.
You stated that your contractor on his own decided just to change the plans that you had, and you weren't here when he did that?
Correct.
Okay. Did he notify you at all that he did that?
No. He didn't. No, he just. No, he didn't.
He thought that there'd be more space to
He
leave.
told me
Like in the
basically,
back.
yeah. He
Okay.
thought maybe you might want to do something in the future with him, perhaps in the back after the fact. But
Right. And was he a local contractor?
no, he's not so local. No,
Okay.
but he got permits and everything. You know, obviously, to do what he needs to do.
Right. All right. Thank you.
Any other questions? Would we like to close the public portion?
Move to close.
Second.
That's an all in favor.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Okay. Can anyone offer a positive resolution?
I'll move for a positive resolution.
All right. I'll second.
And real quick, before we do this, the resolution is also to keep the shed, correct? Okay.
Yes, that's right. The resolution will be to keep the shed, and part of it, the deal will be that if that shed comes down,
Yes.
you want to put something else there, it'll be 5 feet away from the
And more
side.
beautiful.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
Hold on, we got to vote. We're not yet.
Oh.
You never know. You never know.
Vice Chairman Fuller,
Yes.
Mr. Ashkenazi,
Yes.
Mr. Duomo,
Yes.
Mrs. Whitman.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
Now you're good.
God bless you all.
Thank
you. Have a good
God bless
night.
you all. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, next we have Nathan and Sophia Feldman, 300 Runyon Avenue, Block 48. I'm not sure what lot it is. Fell off this copy. But attorney for the applicant is Ms. Krimko.
Good evening, Chair
Hello.
Fuller, members of the board. I want to thank the four of you for coming, so at least we had the hearing tonight. Appreciate that. Jennifer Krimko on behalf of the applicant.
Let me just mark.
Yeah,
in
I
the
was just going to
exhibits.
say, because I had stuff to move in. Come on
Okay.
up, Chet.
A1 will be the variance application, A2 will be the topographic survey dated 8/20/24. Exhibit A3 will be the pool plot grading plan dated 12/4/2024. And then I have the following board exhibits. Exhibit B1 will be the board planners report dated 1/13/2025. Exhibit B2 will be the board engineers report dated 1/10/2025. And exhibit B3 will be the zoning officer's report dated 12/18/2024.
Thank you. And then A4 is a photo packet prepared by me. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, consisting of 6 photos. The first 2 are aerials from Google Earth. The remaining 4 are photos of the property taken today. And just to orient you, as you look at the first photo, you'll see that there is a triangular shaped property in the middle of the neighborhood with 3 front yards and no rear yard at all. That's the subject property. And the second page is a close-up of it just to see where it is. And then the remaining pages are self-explanatory. I'll just go through it with you quickly before I have Chet testify to what we're proposing. The next one is essentially the front of the house from Gulf and Runyon. Looking north on the left side is the beginning of the U-shaped driveway that is proposed to remain. Then the next one is the view from Gulf and Forest looking south, and you'll see an existing driveway there that is proposed to be removed, as you're going to hear. And then the next is a view from Runyon and Forest looking east. And you can see the area of the existing swing set. And then the last photo is taken right across the street from Forest. And you can see that the area, as you're going to hear, that we're proposing the pool is currently functioning as their rear yard. You'll see the lawn equipment, the patio, the swing set, as well as the barbecue in that area. And that's just to orient you with regard to the property and the fact that there's no rear yard at all. So I'd like to introduce Chet, have him sworn. Yeah. You're nothing better than you, Chet. 12/4/24. He just wants to make. All right.
You ready?
Yes.
Do you swear any testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. And just state your name for the record.
Charles Sherman?
Thank you. And you're testifying tonight as an engineer and land surveyor?
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We'd submit him as an expert. I know he's been here a bunch of
Yep.
times.
Yep.
Okay, so Chet, why don't you just briefly walk the board through the property as well as what we're proposing?
Okay. As Jennifer indicated, we are a triangular lot fronting Forest, Gulf, and Runyon. The front of the house clearly faces Runyon. The side of the house on Gulf has, I wouldn't call it a front yard appearance, but it's more of a front-facing portion of the house. Clearly the rear portion of the house faces Forest Street.
And just Chet, as you look at the second page that I printed, and you see the area kind of where the red dot is on
Yes.
it. Well, it's across the street from 2 houses. It's not, that area where the pool is being proposed is really not directly across the street from either house. It's kind of across the street from the side.
It pretty well lines up with the lot line, and in both cases, each of those houses are well clear of that particular lot line.
Okay.
So the location, there's really only one location for the pool, and that would be in that little inset in the rear of the house that presently has a paver patio. So that's where we're proposing the pool. It's only 16 by 30, and we've squared it into that area.
Okay, and part of the reason why we oriented it the way we did was so that only the corner of the pool would be at the closest setback, where none of the sides would be there. Meaning originally, the plan you first sent me had the pool parallel with forest.
Yes.
So it had the entirety of this length of the pool up against forest, and we turned it to minimize any impact to the street.
Yeah, at its nearest point, which is its northwest corner, it's 13.4 feet off the forest right of way.
Okay, and existing there today, as you can see in the view from forest looking southeast, there is an existing hedgerow that's set back that looks to be about 4 feet high.
Yeah, maybe a little higher, yeah.
That gives them some privacy, but in addition to the pool there, and in an effort to have some privacy in their rear yard, we're proposing a conforming fence, but on the outside of the fence, a 6 foot high hedge that we're proposing to keep at 6 feet.
Yes, the hedge is proposed just inside the property line, the fence about 3 feet back.
Okay, and with regard to that hedge, we're proposing to wrap it around golf, and you're showing a 15 by 15 site triangle from the property line, obviously much further from the curb.
Yeah.
And why'd you choose that 15 by 15?
Well, just my observations being out there when we did the survey work, and then when I returned to just sort of walk the property, I felt that at that location I could turn the hedge in, and it would still give somebody going north on Gulf enough of an angle to see down Forest, and someone coming down Forest enough of an angle to see somebody coming up Gulf. Again, keeping in mind that Forest Street may see 1 or 2 cars an hour even in the summer. Gulf a little bit more because it's more of a through street north-south. And Gulf Street generally has stop signs at all the intersections. For some reason at this point where it intersects with Forest, it does not, but there is a stop sign just forward of that where it hits the next street to the north, though I'm not sure the name of that street.
From an engineering perspective, you're comfortable that the chamfer and the site triangle you're offering is adequate for safety?
I am.
And if you were to apply a 200-foot distance, as was mentioned in Jim's letter, that would mean this property could not be developed with a house or anything else because everything would be within that site triangle.
It would consume 3/4 of the property, maybe more.
Okay, and in turning to Jim's letter, he notes that there is absolutely a hardship. So again, with all these front yards, there's no other location to put this that would be conforming, correct?
No, and the 2 other streets, Runyon and Gulf, are relatively speaking more active. They are more in tune as front yards. This is the logical place to put it,
And
given
it
the
is,
constraints of the
and
property.
it is their active, functional
It is their, right
rear
now, it is
yard
their
right
backyard.
now.
There is a patio back there right now, and that is clearly their backyard.
So the activity that goes on back there with the patio and the swing set, it's not going to be any different. It'll be below grade the pool, and once the landscaping is put up, do you see that there would be any negative impact since it would not even be able to be seen from the street?
No, I don't.
Okay. Oh, and in addition to the fence and the hedge, we're also proposing multiple street trees that don't exist there today in order to further beautify the Forest Street frontage.
Yeah, we're adding 6 street trees along Forest Street,
Okay, just want to make sure I hit everything.
and we are removing an existing driveway that comes in off of
Right.
Forest Street.
And I did note that in my notice, and just to explain to the board, when you have a corner lot, you're only allowed to have one driveway access. This is essentially a three-corner lot, but in any event, that's a nonconformity with the multiple driveways on multiple frontages that we would be eliminating as part of this application. And I note that Jim did not have any issue with the hedge as long as it's kept at 6 feet. And one thing he did call out that we did miss is that we're proposing a 4-foot solid fence around the pool equipment. And again, that is to shield it from view from the public.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
And if the board desires that we add some landscaping around that as well, we're happy to do that.
Yes.
And in Ben's letter, we will agree to 1 and 2, which are details and reconstruction. And I believe we testified with regard to the design waiver for the site triangle.
Yes.
Okay. Does the board have any questions for Chet? I didn't know that Jim wasn't going to be here. Typically, I would bring a planner, but in light of Jim's letter recommending all the variances, I thought that he would be able to give you some testimony. The last minute I learned he wasn't going to be here, but I think the letter speaks for itself.
Yeah, Jim's always thorough in his letter. Ben, do you have anything to say?
I don't. I think that all the items in both review letters were addressed, so I don't have any other issues.
Well, both letters talk about concerns with the site triangle.
Yeah, so I did a deep dive on this, and I talked to Chet about it. I looked at the ordinance to just see if, in some cases there's an ordinance for a stop sign to be at an intersection, but the actual sign is not there. That's not the case in this scenario. The ordinance does not require a stop sign to be on either road, and according to the ordinance, because of that, when it's a non-stop controlled intersection, it requires a 200-foot site triangle on each leg of the intersection, which basically takes up the majority of this property. So it would be very prohibitive to do that. And in light of Chet's testimony and also reviewing the traffic patterns in the area, I don't think it's necessary to have that big of a site triangle, and I think the one that's provided is sufficient.
I will note you're the first engineer that ever found that 200-foot site triangle, so you took a very deep dive.
I did.
So the only need for the hedge is to give privacy for a pool.
No, just to give privacy for the yard in
Privacy
general.
in general?
Yeah, I mean, in the area where that hedge is, it's not really near the pool. Essentially, they have no rear yard. They're an island for everybody driving around, and they're just looking to have some privacy in their rear yard.
I would, in the interest of an overburden of safety, pulling that hedge back another 10 or 15 feet won't impact the applicant. And if it would make everybody just feel a little bit better about sight lines at that intersection.
This triangle.
Yeah.
That triangle square off,
Right.
to pull it back 10 or 15 feet, my observations of that intersection are, it's just not an active or
Well, right
fast
now
intersection.
it's 15 feet from the property line, but it's actually 30 plus feet from the corner.
Yes.
So we're already back 30 feet.
This triangle.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think it's necessary?
I don't think it's necessary. I can tell you, I'd like to go look at that
Okay,
provision
there's this. Okay.
that you're referencing, because
Where the hedge is.
even Bill Fitzgerald never required
On the corner.
that on a corner lot, so I'd be surprised by it.
Yeah.
That makes a difference.
I don't think it really makes that big of a difference. I think what would make a bigger difference is just making sure that the hedge is maintained to that 6-foot height.
6 feet you can't see over anyway, so.
All right, so we'll make that a condition if the board approves it, that the hedge must be maintained at 6-foot height.
There is a lot more traffic in the summer.
Right, but if a car is pulling up to that intersection, the length of the car is less than 20 feet, and you reach the end of the intersection, and it's completely clear. You have 30 feet from the end of the hedge to where you get into the intersection. So there would be no sight there'd be
30
no
feet or 15 feet?
No, it's 15 feet from our property line, but if you can see where our property line ends and then where the curb is,
Oh,
there's another
right.
15 feet. So really you could fit almost 2 cars, or 1.5 cars at that opening.
But there's no stop sign there?
No.
So you'd have 1.5 cars worth of time to see if a car's coming as you're
Well,
driving?
I would think, having driven there today, nobody's speeding through that area, seeing that cross street coming. You slow down as you approach that area. You're not shooting right through it.
Be surprised.
There, to kind of piggyback on what you just said, the next intersection is Parker Avenue, which is, I don't have a scale here, but it's not a far distance away, that has a stop sign, and cars approaching that road would be slowing down as they get to this intersection between Golf and Forest before they get to Parker Avenue. So they're not going full speed going through this intersection either.
So again, I understand the concern. I have 2 engineers telling me it's okay. I'm just giving you anecdotally what I think. I mean, I'm relying on Ben and chat.
That's the best some of us can do, right? Like, anecdotally, I would say I see a stop sign at Parker. I'm going to slow down and be looking at Parker and not even paying attention to the fact that there's this other small street right here coming up next to me. Anybody have any other questions?
Can they just make sure they maintain that hedges, not just height-wise, but instead
Yes.
they just can't grow outward as well?
Yeah, that's a good point.
I'm thinking if I were sitting at that intersection and if they start growing outward and
What-
they're
yeah,
not
what kind of
maintained
hedge is it?
properly, that might impede vision.
Just a privet.
It's just a privet, so they don't really grow out like that, but
Okay.
Yes, I would imagine that the applicant would keep that hedge looking good, but
What type of width are we talking?
for that privet,
Yeah.
2.5, 3 feet at
So no more than
the most.
3 feet width.
For the width, yeah.
Mr. Fuller, would you feel better if we pulled it back 10 more feet?
Maybe. I have questions about the pool too. I'm going to be honest. This is a tough one for me. I get, you try to figure out the best place for a pool, but I kind of go back to, do you need a pool
Well,
at all?
and I can
right?
address that. No, nobody needs a pool. That isn't what the law says, though. So the way that the law is set up is, do we have a hardship based on the land to use our property the same way a conforming property can use it? Clearly, there's a hardship. Your planner said there was. And I mean, there's never more of a hardship to not have a rear yard. So then the next question becomes, is a detriment for putting the pool here so substantial that it outweighs the positives, which is the hardship? So we look at what the detriment is, and arguably in this case, we're using that as our rear yard anyway. All the activity associated with the rear yard is in that area today. The pool is at grade. It's not going to be any more visible from the street than the patio chairs are or the barbecue is. If it were directly across and in line, if it was on a busy street like Runyon, where there's a lot of traffic going back and forth, a lot of foot traffic because a lot of houses there, and if it were directly across from somebody's yard or driveway where they were seeing it every time they came in and out, I might have had a harder time coming to you and putting forth this application. And believe it or not, I would say I turn away 20% of the applicants that come to me because I know that you guys know that I'm not going to come here with something that can't be defended. And when you look at, well, what would the detriment be? Well, by putting up the hedge, we are now eliminating it from view. So I think when you look at all of that together, the uniqueness of the lot, the hardship of the lot, the careful angling of the pool to bring as much of the pool away from the property line as possible. The fact that it's in between 2 houses across the street on not a street where there's only 2 other houses, so it's not a busy street that people are using. There really is other than the fact that you have to grant a variance, there is no detriment. Meaning, there's not a noise detriment, there's not a site detriment, there's not a garbage detriment, all the things that are associated, you're getting all of the things, and it's still better than before, because you're getting more trees, you're getting a driveway closed, which now you have more driveways that are permitted. You know, and you're getting the confirmation that that corner will never be blocked by trees or anything else. We would record a site triangle easement for that corner, so any future owner couldn't plant anything other than 30 inches high in that corner. So when you look at all the benefits,
Can I ask you a
And
question?
well, let me just say, so that's her argument, and I think it's uncontested here that there's a hardship. I mean, I think
Right.
everyone can agree to that.
Yep.
The question is the detriment side of this. Do not think you have to grant this application. If you find that there is a detriment in your minds, based upon the property's just too small to fit all these amenities upon it, and that's somehow going to be a negative impact upon the neighborhood, that is perfectly fair for you to vote no.
and I would just correct one thing, Mark, and I think you'll agree. It's not if there's a detriment. The case law is very clear. There's a detriment every time a variance is granted. It's whether or not there's a substantial detriment, and
That's
it's
fine.
so substantial that it outweighs the positives that I put before you, and the hardship counts as a positive.
So these people are, if you look at the second to last page that you gave us, the color page, I mean, they're living in a fishbowl. You can see right through everything they're doing.
Yes, except in the summertime. In the summertime, when they're out in that patio, that's green, and you can't really see through that.
Okay, but if you didn't have the pool, would you be putting up the hedges anyway, just for privacy?
Yes, we would. We would be coming before you for that, whether there's a pool or not, because again, when they moved in, they put up a conforming hedge, and when they knew they were coming for a variance, so yes, I mean, ultimately, they're willing to take the drive their way. They want to have the privacy. So this is, and again, Mr. Fuller, as it relates to impact, this is probably the most unique lot in all of Ocean Township. I don't know that there's another one like this. So I'm not advocating for pools in a front yard. I think in this particular case, there's so many unique circumstances. The side where it's facing, what's across the street from it, what's existing there today, that's the balancing test. And I agree with Mr. Lexstein, you have to balance it, but it does have to be a substantial detriment that outweighs any positives.
So I'm going to suggest that there are a couple options that you have here, and I'm not projecting. I don't know how the four of you feel. There's only four of you,
Right.
so I'm also going to offer to Ms. Krimko whether she wants to potentially carry it, because I don't know what the four of you want to do. I'm also offering the four of you that you have a right. Jim is not here tonight. We don't have our planner here. Jim definitely issued a report. He didn't really offer any negatives associated or detriments associated with the application, but you may nevertheless want to hear from him if you're concerned about the application, you want to carry it. Or if you feel like you've heard enough, you either can approve or deny the application. I'm just giving everyone every option that they could possibly have, including Ms. Krimko, to
Right.
potentially carry this.
And with that, as a courtesy, what I would ask, and again, you're not legally obligated to do so, but I would like to get your thoughts on this before I make a decision to carry, because there was a hearing where even though your board engineer was in favor of it, your planner was in favor of it, your engineer was in favor of it, a planner testified in favor of it, and an engineer testified in favor of it. Although everybody on the board was entirely silent, enough members of the board voted no, with no indication at all.
Yeah. No, that wouldn't be fair to
So
your
in
applicant.
light of that, before I make that decision, again, it's a courtesy I'm asking for. It's not anything you're obligated to do. I'd like to know your thoughts. If it's you think I should adjourn this until Jim is back, or you think enough testimony's been put in tonight.
I think that would probably be best
Which one?
to adjourn so we can hear more from Jim.
Okay.
Probably
I
give.
just ask the fellow board members.
I'm comfortable, as, you know, that's why I asked you the question, would you have the hedges notwithstanding the pool? I'm very comfortable with your application.
I have a question.
How long has the homeowner owned the home?
Just bought it this past year.
You can't talk, but he just bought it this past. He just bought it.
Not allowed to talk.
He just bought it this past year, Mr. Dilemma.
Thank you.
In the interest of safety, I'd like to see the hedges at that triangle come in a little bit,
Okay.
but I have no problem.
Okay. And Mr. Dilemma?
I have no problem moving forward if we pull those hedges forward.
And what would you both recommend that we pull it back? Since I'm not an engineer, 10 feet?
So the hedges are gonna be pulled back 10 feet from where they are right now,
Correct.
where they're proposed right
Just in the corner, obviously.
And that- yeah.
The straight part, pull it back 10 feet, okay.
now. Along which portion are we talking
On the intersection of Forest and Gulf.
On the intersection.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll record an easement, to ensure that it's never, built in the future.
And that easement would have to include that the hedges have to maintain a 6-foot height and no more than 3-foot width.
Or,
Well, the
no,
hedge
that
would
they
be
can't,
added.
right, they can't grow into the easement, it doesn't matter what the width is.
That's fine, okay.
I'm not a great counter, but based on my math, I think I'm comfortable going forward with the
Okay.
vote tonight.
Okay. All right, because you just need a majority over here. You don't need all four.
Correct.
You only need the majority,
Sorry.
right? Now, someone could be misleading Ms. Krimko, which I've seen done before. But
Not to Ms. Krimko.
okay. No, not to you. Correct. I've not seen it done to you.
Okay, any more questions from the members of the board? Do you have anything else?
No, that's all I have.
First, we have questions. Any questions for this witness? No? Okay.
Any comment?
And we have to open to the public.
Sorry?
The public. We haven't been open to the public yet.
Well, I was asking the public if they have, right.
I didn't-
Any comments from the members of the public? Okay.
I'll move to close the hearing.
I'll second.
Oh, you can do all in favor on
Oh,
the.
yeah, all in favor? Sorry.
on that.
Aye.
I love the all in favor. Fine. Okay.
And I'll move for a positive resolution with the conditions.
Second.
Vice Chairman Fuller,
No.
Mr. Ashkenazi,
Yes.
Mr. Guillermo,
Yes.
and Mrs. Lynch.
Yes.
Thank you very much. You're gonna see my face a little bit for the next
Yeah.
couple of them.
That's good. All
But I
right.
do, in fairness, I do have my associate handling the last one, and this is his first time appearing in Ocean, so.
Oh,
Be a
okay.
little nicer to him than, you know.
So we all know how we're voting on
You
that
don't,
one.
you can't beat him up at all.
Okay, next case is Adam and, is it Mikhail Cheney?
I think it's Michal, but.
Mikhail?
yeah.
Okay, sorry. 714 Palmer Avenue, Block 64, Lot 5 in the R4 zone.
John Vincenti's a little more formal than Chet. Yep.
Attorney for the applicant, Miss Jennifer Krimko.
Alright, and I'm just going to mark in the following exhibits. Exhibit A1 is going to be the variance application. Exhibit A2 will be the topographic plan dated 9/20/2024. Exhibit A3 will be the architectural plan dated 12/9/2024. Exhibit A4 will be the variance plan prepared by JV Engineering, revised through 12/12/2024. Then the board has the following exhibits. The board planners report dated 1/13/2025. B2 will be the board engineers report revised through 3/3/2025. Exhibit B3 will be the zoning officer's report dated 1/8/2025. B4 will be the zoning approval for the in-ground pool, and then B5 will be the Avakian approval.
Oh, you
Dated-
had that.
Yeah, dated
Oh.
10/8/2024.
All right.
Jim,
I
Ben
didn't
didn't have it.
No.
All right, and thank you, and again, Jennifer Krimko on behalf of the applicant. In this instance, we also have a corner lot. Again, we have a hardship with 2 front yards, and we have a limited backyard, but fortunately, we actually have a backyard in this instance. As you heard, there was a approval for a swimming pool, the pool equipment, pool patio fence, in the rear yard of this property, all conforming. As part of that approval, Greg Blash at Avakian's office required that in-ground drainage be put in to accommodate the impervious. Bennett issued an initial letter asking for drainage, and when he discovered it was already in, he just asked for a copy of that letter, so he has that. What we're seeking today is to put an open air cabana, as you're going to hear through the testimony. While the footprint looks large, the enclosed portion of it is only 35 square feet, and there's only one full wall, and that's up against the side yard setback, which is fully conforming. So it really is just a cover over the existing patio with a small shed-like structure built into it. A5 into evidence is just a color rendered version of what was moved in as A4. And I'd like to introduce John Vincenti. He is a licensed engineer and planner. I know he's testified here before, but it might have been a long time ago, so if the board would like, we can have him. His hair was not gray the last time he was here.
Let me swear you in. Do you swear any testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
And state your name and spell your last name for the record.
John Vincenti, Vincenti.
And you are a licensed engineer, state of New Jersey.
Yes, I'm a licensed engineer. I'm also a licensed professional planner.
And you're testifying in both capacities this evening?
Yes, I am.
Okay, great. Go ahead.
Thanks. All right, John, I gave the overview. I'll turn it over to you about, what's existing on the property and what we're proposing.
Sure. So, we're a corner property lot, and we have frontage on Palmer Avenue and Ivy Place. Lot dimensions, the total area is slightly more than 16,000 square feet. It's in the R4 zone. We have 150 feet of frontage along Palmer Avenue, which is to the north or the upper portion of the exhibit, A5. And along Ivy Place, we've got about 107 feet of frontage, and that's on the left or the west side. The property is currently occupied with a single-family dwelling. We have a two-car paved driveway that accesses from the west on Ivy Place. There's also a pool in the rear yard. There's a small wood deck attached to the rear of the home, and an existing paver patio surrounding the pool. Those are all colored in.
Okay, and again, we know the pool was approved. I don't know if it was fully constructed yet, but it was approved by zoning.
I think the permits were issued, and it may be under construction.
Right. Okay.
So what we have here is a variance just associated with the cabana. Now, the cabana is 18 feet by 25 feet for a total of 450 square feet. As Ms. Krimko indicated, it's essentially a covered cabana, a shade structure. It's open on three sides, to the north, south, and
I'm referencing the architectural plans. So
if you look at the floor plan on the left, that's oriented in the same configuration as the site plan.
So this is the side that's up against the rear yard.
That's correct. So the enclosed wall is to the right or to the east.
Hold on, just 1 second. Should he have a microphone, just so he's picked up? Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
So we have a wall to the east, and then in the bottom corner we have a 3 foot wide. That's a storage area, access to the rear. There are also four.
But if you were standing in the neighbor's yard looking in, you would just see that 3 foot wide, and then you would be looking straight through the patio.
If I'm standing in the adjoining neighbor's lot to the rear, from the rear yard where we have the variance, you're going to look straight through. It's going to be open air.
And that would be if we weren't planting 27 emerald green arborvitaes along the property line.
That's correct.
Okay, and the height of that cabana is 11 feet, correct?
The cabana is 11 feet, yes.
And how tall will the green giants grow?
Pretty tall.
Okay.
They
Taller than
probably
11
get
feet?
they probably get to be 30 feet.
Okay,
So
so the cabana won't be seen from either the side yard where it's conforming or the rear yard, is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
And as it relates to the activity within the cabana, that activity would be there regardless because it's the pool patio that's there as a matter of right.
That's correct, yes. And the way that the permit for the pool was issued, that area that we're showing as a cabana was approved as a patio area. So the activities that are being proposed there would be taking place anyway, but for the fact that we were introducing a shade structure.
Okay, and John, from a planning perspective now as a planner, the ordinance allows a 150 square foot shed at 10 feet in height, 5 feet from the property line.
Both property lines, that's correct.
Right, so we could tuck a 150 square foot shed, completely solid, 10 feet high, 5 feet from the property line.
5 feet from both property lines, and
Okay.
we wouldn't have to, and we would not have to screen it with the vegetation.
So forget about the vegetation for a second. In your opinion, is a fully open structure to the rear with only one full wall on only 1 foot higher than what would be permitted, is that a better zoning alternative in your opinion than a solid structure that close to the property line?
I think it's a superior alternative.
And obviously, if we constructed this cabana, if the board granted the variance, we would be precluded from putting the shed in that area.
That's right, yes.
Okay, and when you add in the trees that we're proposing, is there any impact at all to the neighbors?
In my opinion, no.
Okay, and as it relates to this existing lot, is there anywhere on this property that a cabana, that this cabana could be placed without needing a variance?
This particular cabana, no, and I'll kind of get into that. Because you have a corner lot and because you have the various setbacks, we have a 30-foot front yard setback from both roads, and because it's because of the nature of the rear yard, this heavy line is the 30-foot setback. So you could see I have less than 10 feet between the setback line and the back of the porch.
And also, I mean, again, this house legally exists there.
It
If
conforms,
right, if
totally conforms.
No, I understand, but the question is, had this house had the benefit of being closer to Palmer or much closer to Ivy, we would have had more yard area with which to work. So we're limited with our yard area based on where the house is.
That's correct, yes.
Okay. And in the engineering review letter, he just asked for, I think the only condition was
Just the
copy of the letter, which I believe you have now.
Then you have it now, right?
Right, and I believe in Jim's
Oh, okay. Yeah.
letter, again, he just, he noted the hardship that the site's built out and you couldn't put a cabana, anything
looking for-
larger than,
he's
anything
basically
larger than the shed.
That's correct.
And, asked for the testimony, which you just offered with regard to the hardship as well as the negative impact.
So with respect to the cabana itself, utilities running to the cabana?
No.
No utilities?
Yes.
There's electricity. in the house.
Electricity, yes, but no.
No HVAC.
Is there a bathroom?
No. The only enclosed area is a storage room, no bathroom.
There's like an ice maker or something.
Yeah, that's-
Is
Yeah,
there
it's an outdoor kitchen.
is there plumbing?
Presumably, if there's an ice maker, there'd have to be plumbing.
Okay.
But again, there's no bathroom, there's no living space, because again, it's no different than an outdoor barbecue kitchen
Okay,
area.
so would you accept the deed restriction that it not be enclosed?
Yeah, we'd have to.
Yeah, so there's a deed, so there'll be a deed restriction that it's not enclosed and it cannot become and no bathroom installed.
100%, because if we did, then that would go against what we're testifying, that it's 3 sides open.
So there's no plumbing whatsoever?
No, there is plumbing
There is
for
plumbing
the ice
for the
maker,
ice maker,
presumably.
Okay.
No drains.
So no bathroom and it can't be enclosed.
Bennett, do you have anything to say?
I don't think so. I think basically the information provided in Jim's report was discussed. The one thing I'll reiterate from Jim's report, it should be noted that the configuration of the site and building are fully conforming, and it would not be possible to construct an accessory building greater than 150 square feet anywhere on the site. So it would not be possible to construct a reasonably sized pool cabana without a variance or variances. So he's saying that essentially you can't build this cabana or another reasonably sized cabana anywhere because of the orientation of the building and the pool, and because you have 2 front yards, you can't put it on the other side of the house. So this is the spot essentially.
They're taking advantage of space that's already
Right. Right, and
They're
importantly,
repurposing it.
it was designed with sensitivity to that rear yard neighbor. It's turned that way so the short side is up against him, and it's turned that way so the solid wall is not up against him.
And I'll also throw in there that the neighboring properties all have accessory buildings in that corner as well. So they're not right next to the primary
Right.
structures either.
Any questions? Any questions for the public? Wow.
Ms. Brown, I'm gonna swear you in again.
Swear in again?
Different, yeah, it's a different application, so. Do you swear your testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
And just state your name and give us your address.
Joan Brown, 505 Ivy Place.
Thank you, go ahead.
I'm just confused, and maybe you can explain to me the storage area and what, because you said it was an open thing, but there's an enclosed storage area?
There's a storage closet.
And this is facing, which way are we
This is
facing
the
here?
side yard. That's facing, but that's controlled. It only has to be 10 feet from.
No, I'm not worried about the side thing. I'm just trying to picture it.
That's it. This is all.
Because you had said it was an open, oh, this is the whole thing.
This is the whole thing. This is open here. There's
Yeah.
no walls. There's no wall. There's
Yeah.
one wall in the back
Okay,
and a little closet to store
so
stuff.
this faces the
Side yard.
side yard.
Opposite Ivy Place.
I get confused because I'm on a corner too, and I know we have two properties.
Yep.
Okay,
That's it.
that's my only question. So, thank you.
Any other questions from the public? Any statements from the public? I forgot to ask you if you have any more witnesses. I have a feeling you don't, right? Okay. Does anyone like to close the public hearing?
Make a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll second. Let's go. There's only four. You gotta say something at some point. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. I'll make a motion for a positive you guys gotta start talking. Holy cow. I'll make a motion for a positive resolution.
I'll second that motion.
And that would be with the condition of the deed restriction with regard to no enclosure and no bathroom.
Very good. Okay. Yes.
Vice Chairman Foley?
Yes.
Mr. Ashkenazi?
Yes.
Mr. Gallomo?
Yes.
Ms. Lippman?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
I have one more, and then I'm going in the audience to watch
Right.
with the rest of you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Nope, you don't have to leave anything. I know, John, you want to get rid of me. I'm trying to train Anthony so I don't have to come
Who do
here
we have
anymore at
next?
all.
We have, next case is Mosh and Nuri Maiman. Myman, sorry. Block 25.35, lot 28, 34 Shadow Lawn Drive, Oakhurst.
And again, Jennifer Krimko, on behalf of the applicant, Pat, come on up.
And I'll mark in the following exhibits. Exhibit A1 is the variance plan. Exhibit A2 is the topographic survey dated 10/11/2024. Exhibit A3 are the floor plans and elevations dated 9/5/2024. Exhibit A4 is the basement plan dated 11/21/2024. Exhibit A5 is the plot plan revised through 11/19/2024.
So then A1, you meant the variance application, not the variance plan, correct?
I thought I said variance application.
No, I think you said plan.
Okay, well, I meant variance application. Exhibit B1, as in Board 1, is the Board Planners Report dated 1/13/2025. Exhibit B2 is the Board Engineers Report dated 1/7/2025. And Exhibit B3 is the Zoning Officer's Report dated 12/5/2024.
Thank you. And again, Jennifer Krimko here on behalf of the applicant. We're here for some minor upgrades and additions to the single-family home, as well as the removal of an existing pool and non-conforming equipment and some other non-conforming items in the backyard, a shed almost at the property line, and in its place, a proposed cabana there. I do have with me, I have the site engineer, Dave Besh, who will testify as to what's existing, what's proposed. I have the architect, Anthony Ercolino, to talk about the cabana as well as the additions to the house. And then lastly, I have Patrick Ward, who you're familiar with as both an engineer and a professional planner, and he's only here in his capacity as a professional planner tonight. So I'd like to add a few exhibits. Do you also have the aerial? Or no, you didn't bring that one? Just the aerial?
I have that.
Yeah, okay. So A6 is an aerial of the subject property. A7 is a color rendered version of A5. And A8 is the color rendered version of the plot plan over the aerial, just to give you some context.
Same thing. Yeah, I got like 3.
Yeah, I didn't count
You're
them all.
fine. I got
All right, Dave, let's get you sworn.
this is different. Sorry, while we're just sorting ourselves over here. You have this? Yes. With that? Okay. Yeah, these are take these.
All right, if I could have
All right.
David sworn.
Yeah, do you, sir, do you swear any testimony you give this evening will be the truth, the whole truth, but nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Just state your name for the record.
David Besch, BOESCH, with Nelson Engineering Associates.
And you're vice president of Nelson, you're a certified landscape architect, and you were the project manager for this?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, we'd submit him in that capacity.
Looks familiar.
Yeah, a little bit. What you guys don't know is that Joan Brown, is she still here? No. The wife of Sandy Brown, who was the planning board attorney for 3 or 4 decades. So, and I just realized nobody here has been here long enough but me to remember who that is. So Dave's been around just as long, I would say.
I was wondering where that was going.
Yeah.
Okay, the property in question, 34 Shadow Lawn Drive, is located in the Beale Terrace section of the township. It's on the south side of Shadow Lawn Drive, in between its intersections with Ross Court and Princeton Court. You may notice that I oriented the colored version of the site plan upside down, just so that it's in the same orientation as the aerial photographs to avoid any confusion in that regard. The property referring to the aerial photograph only, showing the existing conditions of the property. There is a 2-story dwelling on the property with a pool located in the south quadrant of the site. The applicant proposes to remove that pool and construct a new pool with a cabana in that same general area, but placing the cabana closer to the southern property line than what is currently permitted under the setback requirements for an accessory structure of more than 150 square feet.
Right.
Let me take a step back. There is also currently a shed located in the southwest corner of the property that is on the property line. It encroaches. So the existing shed we're proposing to relocate to an area in the middle of the western edge of the property, but a conforming location. That shed is only 87 square feet, so it is permitted to be 5 feet off the property line, and it will be so placed as part of this
All right.
plan.
So you're moving the shed to a
yes.
conforming location.
Correct.
And then also the pool, how far is the pool setback from the property line today?
Okay, the pool, the southern edge of the curved patio is approximately 8 feet off the southern property line. So by removing that, we're eliminating that nonconformity of the patio less than 10 feet.
And what about the pool equipment? Where's that today?
The pool equipment is also located in that southern region and is also in a non-conforming location.
Okay, so we're eliminating 3 nonconformities through this application.
That's correct.
Okay, and what about with regard to the and what is the setback of the cabana to the rear yard and what's required?
Okay, the setback to the rear yard is 10 feet at the southwesternmost corner to the southern rear yard, and it's 11.7 feet setback, side yard setback to the eastern side property.
And that conforms? The side
Yes,
yard conforms?
side yard
It's
conforms.
only the rear yard that we need the variance for?
Correct.
Okay, and recognizing that we do have a planner who will testify separately with regard to the reasons for that, what about the changes to the house?
I'm sorry.
I said we have a planner that will testify the changes, what about the changes to the house?
Okay, the main aspect of the house changes that affects the site are the inclusion of 2 egress windows located on the east wall of the house. The house corner is currently 9.8 feet off the eastern property line, where 10 feet is required, and the inclusion of those 2 egress windows, technically a part of the house, would require setback variances of 6.2 feet and 7.3 feet.
But they're effectively at grade.
Correct. There would be no visible intrusion of these window wells onto the adjacent
Okay, and
properties.
obviously the window wells, the purpose of them is to allow for sleeping in the basement.
That's correct.
So as a result of those 2 window wells, how many bedrooms would there be and how many parking spaces would we have? I know you know this because we talked about it, because Jim in his letter had questioned the parking.
Yep.
And we actually can comply, is that correct?
That's correct. There will be 5 bedrooms, which would require 3 spaces, and there are 4 that can be accommodated on the driveway.
Okay, so we don't need any relief with regard to that. And then lastly, and I know the architect will testify to it, we're proposing a front porch on the house, and that extends into the front yard setback based on where the house exists today.
That's correct. The proposed setback for the porch would be 35 feet.
Okay, and what's the requirement?
The front setback is currently requirement is 50 feet. Now there's a question. I discussed it with Jim, but regarding the Deal Terrace subdivision that created this neighborhood back in 1977. This neighborhood was created under the cluster development standards. That's would allow the reduced lot size, 16,000 square feet minimum, as opposed to the 22 under the standard R2 zone. And this lot has 18,419 square feet. So under the cluster standards, this lot conforms to the area. I'm bringing this up because on the setback issue, the cluster provisions allow for a 45-foot front yard setback. So for the extension of the porch 10 feet beyond that to 35 feet, the setback of the porch would then be conforming to a 10-foot encroachment beyond the 45.
No, the ocean doesn't allow a 10-foot encroachment.
Well, if the
If
recommendation.
the master, right, so and
Master
our
plan.
planner, what Dave's alluding to is that your master plan suggests to allow front porches. They're encouraged in suburban neighborhoods, and that they should be encouraged to occur, and they allow them to encroach. Most towns do allow them. Deal, Luck Arbor, Allenhurst all allow the front porch encroachment if it's open. The planner will speak more to that, but that was the reason why Dave was explaining why the existing front yard setback is probably where it is today at the 45 feet, because it was developed under the cluster zoning. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and in Ben's letter, there are some requests with regard to the gate, stormwater mitigation, and building heights being provided on the architectural plan. He can do that, but we can comply with Ben's letter, correct?
100% yes.
And the utilities for the pool house will be extended from the residence, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So just from the engineering site layout perspective, are there any questions for Dave? Recognize that we have an architect and a planner.
Who will speak? Which utilities would be going out there? Will the architect talk about that?
Yeah, the architect will talk about that.
Questions?
Excuse me.
I have a question. Who would I ask about the Bilko Scapewell windows?
Architect.
Architect.
I hope he's taking notes. He's not. He's chatting with the builder.
Oh, do you want me to mention the HVAC units?
Yeah, well, yes, I'm sorry.
Okay. There are currently 2 HVAC units located on the east side that are also in a non-conforming location. As part of the improvements, the improvements will entail addition of a 3rd HVAC unit that would be placed in that area, so it would be also requiring a setback variance of 6 feet where 10 feet is required.
But it would be the same as what's existing there today.
Same location that's there today.
So you're basically just adding another unit
Yeah.
to what's there.
Correct.
And can you add that to the plan as a condition of approval?
Yes, we will.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think one of them has to be moved based on where the window well is going, correct?
Well, there are 2 existing which could fit in between the window wells. The 3rd would be located further to the rear of the building.
I know the public's all with me, but I think you have to open it anyway, Mr. Fuller.
The okay, so those AC units weren't on. They're mentioned in Jim's letter. I don't think they're mentioned on the okay, but that's getting added. Is that or is that part of the initial
Yeah.
application?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you entirely.
The fact that there's 2 existing
And adding one.
and
Right.
you're adding 1.
Yes.
Well, no, there's actually 3 existing. I'm looking at the survey. There's 3 existing on the survey today. One of them just has to be relocated. We're not adding any. We're just relocating it to
Oh,
the
okay.
same setback.
All right.
Dave apologizes for that error. Since he did the survey. The one in the I think it's the one in the center has to be relocated, right?
Right, just the separation distance between units and from the house, all 3 cannot fit in between the egress windows.
But they'll be at the same setback in the same location. As it
Okay.
relates to the side yard.
So the variances that you're requesting are the minimum front yard setback, accessory building over 150 square feet,
Rear yard setback.
accessory structure setback in the rear yard, and then AC units side yard.
And the window wells in the side yard too.
Okay. Any questions from the public? Any questions from our
I don't.
experts?
With regards to some of the testimony that was provided regarding the cluster units, you probably saw was mentioned in Jim's letter that what Dave said is correct, that the master plan does recommend that the ordinance be amended to allow open front porches extending 10 feet into the required front yard. And I don't blame him for not finding the cluster zoning. I have a hard time with that myself. Jim knows every one of them for some reason, but you know. And then, yeah, I think the rest of it is probably questions for the architect
Okay.
or planner.
All right.
Thank you. I'd like to call Anthony Ercolino.
Mr. Ercolino, do you swear your testimony about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
And just state your name and spell your last name for the record.
Anthony Ercolino, E-R-C-O-L-I-N-O, with Passman Ercolino Architects.
And you are a licensed architect, state of New Jersey?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Go ahead.
So Anthony, if you could just walk the board through the changes we're proposing both to the house as well as the cabana.
The changes to the house are creating the 2 bedrooms down in the basement, putting in the window wells. Now these are egress window wells that are prefabricated and made by Bilko. Everybody's heard of the Bilko doors that we had going down into our basements. They make these items, some kind of plastic.
And they're essentially at grade,
They
maybe
are
an inch or
essentially
a
at grade,
couple
maybe
inches above.
Couple inches, maybe 2 inches or 3 inches above grade, just so water doesn't go in. When they're put in, there's a big hole dug, there's gravel put in it, so any water, rainwater, or anything like that that goes in, goes down into into the gravel. So it effectively has its own little dry well, for that small amount of area. They have steps built into them, depending on how deep they are. If they're required to be really deep, they have 2 steps getting out. If they're not that deep, maybe 1 step getting out. But they're created just for this purpose, and they meet all the building codes.
And that was the most important question. They meet the building codes for egress that would allow the bedroom and the basement.
For sure, yeah.
Okay, and the front porch?
And then the front porch, it's only the width of the primary portion of the house, let's call it, that's the center mass of the house.
Meaning it doesn't extend around the entire frontage of the house, just
Correct.
okay.
Correct. And it only comes out 8 feet 4 inches plus the steps. Front porch, and then there's 4 risers, 3 steps going down to the walkway that'll get reconfigured out to the street.
And Anthony, just generally from an architectural perspective, when you put a 1-story covered porch on the front of a building, it brings it makes the front of the building a little more pedestrian and a little less imposing from the street. Would you agree?
When it has a roof, yes.
Okay. And in this particular case,
It doesn't have a roof.
so then it would even be less imposing.
It's even less.
Okay.
Take a look at that front elevation. Because of the height of it, it is just above the code maximum. We do have to put a railing on it.
And you're on the side elevation, you're showing the
Yes, on the side elevation.
2 windows. So
showing-
all that would be seen are the windows above grade, really.
Yeah, you would see the portion of the window that's would be above grade, and actually right now, it looks, in the drawing, it looks very similar to what it would look like if we didn't have the window wells there, because there's 2 basement windows in that location. So we make the hole bigger, taller, so we can get the egress windows in there, and all that's currently below grade.
Okay. And what about the cabana in the back?
We have the cabana in the back with that has a powder room and a kitchenette area, an ice maker, dishwasher, a microwave, refrigerator, and a washer dryer.
Okay, so it's a typical cabana, but there's no shower.
No shower. And
So-
no shower space. And the powder room is actually accessed from the exterior.
Okay,
It's
so
not even accessed from the exterior.
and there's no HVAC serving it.
No.
Okay, so as the board knows, when there's HVAC and plumbing, it's a use variance, but if there's only one but not the other, it's a permitted use. And what's the overall height?
I have 14 feet 9 1/4. We'll be close to that.
Okay.
The siding matched the house, the roofing will match the house. Kind of big set of doors that bifold over, so we can communicate out to the patio.
Any questions relative to the architecture?
I have a question. Can you explain to me the windows that we're talking about? You talked about stairs going down to the windows, the Bilko
Yeah,
escape
they're not
well.
really stairs. The window well itself has a code, the code requires for every 18 inches of, there has to be a step that's a maximum of 18 inches high, and it's only 6 inches out. These things become like little planters, so that when you're inside, you're looking out and you see these stepped areas, and it could be a little planter in there. You put flowers in it or whatever, but when you have to get out, you get out and you step right on.
So it's basically to climb out.
Yeah.
And this is very typical of all of the houses.
Yeah, we've been using these for years.
And they're not enclosed. They're like, it's not like a Bilko door that you're gonna open
No,
to
it's
access
not a
them.
door. Sometimes they'll have like a bubble over it, a clear bubble, just to allow the light to get in, to maybe prevent some of the water from getting out.
But in this case, it doesn't.
In this case, we're not calling for that. It depends on how high the window is above that top of the unit itself.
So it basically serves as a well, I mean, my house that I grew up on was built in 1973, and they had them there with the bubble over it. So it's like a little well, and the bottom is gravel.
It sticks out about 3.5 feet or so.
And how big are the windows? How big are the actual windows?
The windows are egress windows. These are casement windows. We have them called out as, it's 32 inches wide by 66 inches tall.
They're full-size windows. So
Full-size
these are
windows.
commonly seen in like split-level houses, right? Where you have a regular window in what would be the basement, quote unquote, and then be able to.
Yeah, they're casement windows to match the rest of the house as casement windows, so it's a crank out type of window.
And you mentioned about water. And so there's going to be something built where there's like a retention for the water.
When these things were put in, they were put down basically to the footings or the slab in the basement, and they fill it with gravel. The unit goes in, gets gravel around it as well. So there's a small amount of moisture that's going to get in there. Is it about 16 to 20?
Not in the window, in the well, you mean?
In the well itself.
Yeah.
Right.
In the well, it's 16 to 20 square feet, so imagine it's raining hard. It's gotta have some place to go, so it doesn't puddle up and then end up in the window.
So if you were to look at it from the street, it would just be a window,
You wouldn't
basically. You wouldn't even see it.
No, you wouldn't.
Why don't you show the elevation again?
This is your grade. That thing sticks up about that tall, and then you're gonna see the top of the window.
Why don't you go back to the elevation that shows it?
So you have, I don't know, maybe 18 to 20 inches of exposed foundation. The window is basically set at the top of that foundation, and most of that window is down below. That's what the dotted lines represent, the bottom of the window and the bottom of the well itself.
Okay, thank you.
All right, with respect to that, would you accept a deed restriction?
Of course.
That one, the powder room cannot be accessed from the interior, and that it cannot be used as a living area, obviously, no bedroom.
Yep.
But the interior is going to have plumbing, am I hearing that right? 'Cause
Yeah.
The sink is there, okay.
Yep.
And no HVAC, obviously.
Correct.
I have a question. Can you clarify how many bedrooms are in the house?
They said 5.
You have, currently, there's one primary on the first floor. And there are 4 bedrooms on the second floor, so then 2 more in the basement makes 7.
Right.
Oh, 7
Yeah,
bedrooms
you
now?
said 5.
Yeah,
Dave.
someone said 5 before.
Yeah, I said 5.
Bad Dave.
Mistakenly, that because RESA standards only go up to 5 bedrooms in the parking requirement table. My apologies for misstatement.
So you could have 100 bedrooms and you only need 5, so you only need 4 spaces?
No, what the RESA standards have been interpreted, and this was from the state DCA, for every bedroom over 5, you need a half of a space. So if there's 3, how many spaces are required for?
3 spaces are required for 5 bedrooms.
Right, 3 spaces are for 5 bedrooms, and then you need a half a space for every bedroom over. At 7 bedrooms, that would be 4 spaces. How many spaces do we have?
4.
The driveway is 80. I measured it as 83 feet long. So if you think of parking spaces, 9 by 18 is typical. But even if you say 9 by 20, 4 cars can fit in 80 feet.
So do you agree 4 spaces, that they have 4 spaces?
I would agree that 4 spaces are there.
So they don't, so you agree they don't need any parking variance?
Yes.
Or any recess waiver. We definitely don't need a parking variance, but no recess waiver.
Any more questions? Any questions from the public? Okay.
Last but not least, Patrick Ward. I think he's gonna sit.
All right, Mr. Ward, do you swear any testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, self you got?
I do.
Just state your name for the record.
Sure. Patrick Ward, WARD with Insight Engineering.
And you're testifying tonight as a licensed planner?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so Pat, without repeating everything we already went through as it relates to the existing nonconformities and what we're eliminating, and the board chair went over the proposed variances with regard to the side yard setback for the window wells, the air conditioning units, front yard setback for the porch, and rear yard setback for the cabana. So let's talk through what the planning justifications are for those and why the board should consider the relief we're seeking.
Sure. And yeah, so as to not repeat every variance, the three variances we're proposing, just a little bit of commentary on each. For the minimum front yard setback to the open porch, the board planner, this was already stated earlier, the board planner mentioned in his review memo that the master plan does recommend that the ordinance be amended to allow open porches to extend 10 feet into the front yard. So what we're proposing here is in effect what the master plan recommends. We're consistent with that. In terms of the egress wells, again, this has been mentioned, but just added to my testimony is that they will be at grade, as Mr. Ercolino stated, so visually they won't be noticeable from the street or any side view sheds. In terms of the rear yard setback for the pool house, again, since the accessory structure here is greater than 150 square feet, we're at 375 square feet, it must meet the required 40-foot rear yard setback. However, in this case, I feel its proposed location is a better zoning alternative than sliding it closer to the home, tighter to the home in a more compliant location. And we could demonstrate this by explaining what purposes of the MLUL this application supports. So purpose A, this is an appropriate use in development. We're proposing permitted accessory structures here in the R2 zone where our property is located. Purpose B, this application promotes safety. How? By placing the pool between the home and the pool house, it allows for full visibility of the pool area from the home itself. We anticipate children will primarily be using the pool in the warmer months, so safety is paramount. If we move the pool house to a conforming location, which would be right up on the house, it would be located between the home and the pool, potentially limiting sight lines to the pool area behind it. Purpose C, light, air, and open space is maintained here, if not improved. So today, Mr. Besh had stated that the shed is located on the property line. We're going to relocate it to a compliant condition or location, thereby improving light, air, and open space associated with the shed. If the pool house were sited in a compliant location, compliant with the rear yard setback, it would be very close to the main home, leading to a crowded feeling in the rear yard, also, aka diminishing light, air, and open space.
Even as it relates to the neighbors, not just to the applicant, anyone looking in the yard would just see a bunch of buildings in the center of the yard.
Exactly, correct. As proposed, ample light, air, and open space between the main home and the pool house is provided. The pool and patio improvements are at grade, and we fully comply with the coverage otherwise. And while we don't meet the ordinance requirements, considering the unique layout of the surrounding properties and the pools existing on them, as you can see on the aerial, as a planner, I believe the proposed setback provides adequate light, air, and open space to those neighbors as well.
And when you talk about the uniqueness, the way our lot is shaped, it's not one rear yard up against another. It's essentially our rear yard is up against 3 rear yards.
Right, we're in the kind of the middle of the block there, and all, as you can see, there are, including our own, 4 pools all in one area.
And if this was a typical shaped lot squared off in the back, it would be easy to put the pool house in a conforming location.
Right, you'd have the pool on the left side, the pool house on the right side. We don't have that ability just based on how the block was laid out. Purpose I, this proposal promotes a desirable visual environment. The new improvements in the rear yard and their arrangement, in my opinion, improve the aesthetics of the property. So now we look at the negative criteria. When we analyze that, we must explore potential impacts of the application on any neighbor and the general public. In my opinion, this application has no impact on the public. The rear yard improvements will be minimally noticeable from the street. The front porch is uncovered and has far less visual impact than the two-story front facade of the home today. And the addition of the front porch is an aesthetic improvement that brings the front facade to a more pedestrian level. Again, the master plan recommends the ordinance be amended to allow for features just like this. For the proposed exit wells, since they are at grade, there is no impact. For the pool house, I'd like to again draw the board's attention to the aerial exhibit. There are 4 pools in close proximity to each other today, including our own. Instead of impacting our neighbors to the rear further, this application mitigates impacts to the rear. And how? By placing the pool house as shown, it forces the new pool further from our rear neighbors. And again, today the pool patio is not compliant to the rear. Additionally, the pool house itself serves as a physical barrier between the activity of the pool area and the neighbors' pool areas and yard. This is an improvement over the impacts from the existing condition. We could flip the pool house and the pool, but in my opinion, that would be more impactful to our rear yard neighbors.
And create more of a dangerous situation, having a visual impediment from the house to the pool.
Yeah, the pool will be, in effect, hidden behind a pool house. It is for these reasons why I feel our arrangement is a better zoning alternative for this property, rather than strict adherence to the zoning ordinance. The proposed development would not cause substantial detriment to the public good, nor substantially impair the intent and purpose of the zone plan. And on balance, it's my opinion that the benefits of this application substantially outweigh its detriments, if any, giving the board the ability to approve this application with confidence.
Any questions? Any questions from the public? Any comments from the public? Can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Make a motion to close.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Do we have a motion for a positive resolution? God, nobody can hear you.
Make a motion for positive resolution.
I'll second. And this would include the deed restrictions
Yes.
that Mark mentioned.
Yep.
Okay. Yes.
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 Thank you very much. I'm not leaving, but I'm going to try and stay as quiet as possible.
That's very
Well, I
difficult.
said try.
Yeah.
I wasn't lying.
Oh, you know. You know. Next case, Reuben Antaby, Block 7, Lot 31, 34 Monmouth Road, Oakhurst. Located in zone R4 zone. Attorney for the applicant is
Anthony Starro.
Anthony Starro.
Anthony, can you just spell your last name?
STORROW.
Okay.
Welcome, Mr. Starro.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm going to mark in the following exhibits. Exhibit A1 is going to be the variance application. Exhibit A2 will be the topographic survey dated 4/1/2023. Exhibit A3 will be the variance plan prepared by Insight Engineering, revised through 11/21/2024. And Exhibit A4 are going to be the architectural plans, which are dated 11/20/2024. And then have the following board exhibits. The board planners report dated January 9th, 2025 will be Exhibit B1. The board engineers report dated 1/17/2025 will be Exhibit B2. And the zoning officer report dated December 20th, 2024 will be Exhibit B3.
And then we have as Exhibit A5, it's an aerial site rendering. Prepared by Insight Engineering and dated March 17th, 2025.
Exhibit A5, yes.
Thank you.
And then just one more, as Exhibit A6, we have a 2-photo packet showing the yard and hedges at the subject property.
Yard and hedges. Thank you.
Jennifer personally hands them out.
I was gonna discuss that with them. You guys wanna go home? It's the end of the night. Take one and pass it down.
Trust me. All right. Like I said, good evening. My name is Anthony Starro with the law firm of Ansel, Grimm & Aaron, here tonight on behalf of the applicant. Some of you may recognize me, perhaps as recently as 30 seconds ago, as that guy that sits in on Jen Krimko's hearings and taking notes. While that may be, I want to make the important distinction that I am not Jennifer Krimko, so please have mercy on me. To that point, I'm going to try and keep it short, since out of our 4 matters that we had today, obviously she gave me the most straightforward one, so we hope that you'll agree with that. This application pertains to 34 Monmouth Road, located in the R4 zone. Applicant is seeking variance approval to create a decked surround around a fully conforming proposed hot tub / spa, with the spa equipment being located under the proposed surround. The spa itself, being fully conforming, was already approved. And that's really it. We are well under on coverage, being proposed at 27.4%, while the maximum is 65%. And as you'll hear, the proposed surround is well screened by hedges and other landscaping on the property. So with that, I'd like to introduce Patrick Ward to walk us through the engineering and planning testimony.
All right, Mr. Ward, do you swear any testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, self you got?
I do.
And you're testifying this, just state your name for the record.
Patrick Ward, WARD with Insight Engineering.
And you're testifying this evening as a planner and as an engineer, correct?
That's correct.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, so just a little bit of background again on the property today. There's a 2.5-story dwelling at the property. There's a small rear deck. The property is at the corner of Monmouth Road and Brown Place, and there's a stone driveway off Brown Place. The property frontage along Brown Place is currently landscaped with plantings, a hedgerow. They're really framing the property's backyard from a practical sense, which happens to mainly sit in the technical front yard on Brown Place. So in terms of the existing bulk conditions of the property is undersized. It's 9,655 square feet in area where 10,000 is required. It's 56 feet in width where 90 feet is required. We have a existing 14.4 foot front yard to Brown Place where 30 feet is required. There's a 9.5 foot side yard where 10 feet is required. And the garage in the back of the property does not meet the required setbacks for rear and side yard. As I mentioned, there's a small rear deck off the back of the house today. It does encroach into the Brown Place front yard. It's 22.8 feet where 30 feet is required. Not only do we have an undersized and narrow lot, we are on a corner lot. So we have 2 front yards which limit what can be done on the property by right. So in terms of what we're proposing, our plans indicate a spa which is already approved by zoning permit. The spa is in a compliant location and already approved. The existing rear deck is to remain. What we're proposing is a 2.5 foot wide deck surround around the approved spa that serves as a walkway and to house the underground spa equipment below and keep it out of sight. However, because the lot is so narrow, we're seeking relief for the new portions of the deck surround.
And Pat, could you just point out on the aerial where that is in relation to the existing deck?
Sure. So this is A5, I believe. So here's the existing deck, the lighter brown color, and here's the new deck surround, and then the blue indicates the spa. And then there's a little called a finger of the deck coming out. That's a step, which I'll mention in a moment. So the deck front yard, this is for the new portions of the deck. The front yard setback to the new portion of the deck surround is 27.68 feet, where 30 feet is required. We have a deck side yard setback of 8.12 feet, where 10 is required. And then the front yard setback to the new step, the single step, is 22.74, where 30 feet is required. So a lot of numbers there, but it's important to note that the existing deck that's remaining is 22.8 feet from Brown Place. So really, this is a de minimis setback change. Also, the deck itself is just about a foot or so above existing grade. It's not high at all. So the deck surround here, the kind of the walkway around this spa, is really no different than what we see elsewhere in town for a 3-foot emergency walkway around a pool, which is permitted by the township to encroach into a side, again, 3 feet in width. These variances are C1 hardship variances due to the narrowness of the lot and the 2 front yard setbacks that come with our corner lot. The narrowness and the front yard setbacks limit the extent to which the applicant can develop his property. As you know, and the SPA is approved, it's approved and permitted accessory use. With this hardship, there's no reasonable opportunity to cure the condition, either as the neighbor to the north is a fully developed residential lot. We can turn ourselves to the negative criteria where we look at impacts from this application on neighbors and the public. Here, I see no impacts from this application. The existing deck is closer to Brown Place than the proposed deck surround. Since the height of this deck is short, in my opinion, no one will notice it, particularly with the existing hedges along the Brown Place frontage. This application has no impact on either neighbor. To the rear, which is the plan left, there's no impact as we comply with that rear yard setback. To the north, as you can see, the neighbor has a driveway. Oh, sorry, excuse me, I was pointing too high. A driveway right to the north of us over the fence. So there's no impact there. So to summarize, the proposed development would not cause substantial detriment to the public good nor substantially impair the intent and purpose of the zone plan. And on balance, it's my opinion that the benefits outweigh any detriments, giving the board the ability to approve this application with confidence.
And Pat, you've had a chance to review the board planners and board engineers reports?
Yes, the board planners report I think echoes some of my testimony, and then the board engineer had a comment about the sump discharge being directed towards Brown Place. We can put details of that. We agree, and we can put details of that on the plans.
Any questions?
Any questions?
Who is this?
That's the applicant.
Gina Ann to be
Yep.
her beautiful daughter. And Lisa, that's Daniela's daughter and granddaughter.
Are you kidding me?
No. Daniela Levy, Danny and Danny.
That's no talking from the audience.
Swear her in.
You didn't open it to the public.
Well, it's all taken.
The first picture you gave us, is this from is this the neighbor's view? What is,
That is, I think that's along the north border, correct?
It's along Brown Place.
That's along Brown Place, looking down.
So south, yeah.
Oh, from the driveway.
from the street side?
Yes.
From the driveway.
Not quite from the driveway, but I don't know exactly where
Oh.
Mr. Chelsea was taken, but it's looking down the hedgerow.
Right.
That way.
Okay.
And the aerial image kind of shows, well, this is it's a winter aerial, but you can see
Yeah.
the shadow from where the hedges are. So it's really from the southwest corner all the way over to the front of the house, the hedgerow.
Mr. Matlock, did you have anything?
No, they discussed the one comment I had in my engineer's letter, and with regards to the planner's letter, I think the testimony provided is basically the same as what's in Jim's report. Essentially, he said he has no significant concerns with the application.
And he agreed that there's clearly a hardship here based on the configuration of our lot.
Any questions from the public? I had a feeling. Okay, no questions? All right. Someone like to make a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We do have the
Any
architect here if you need
I
to.
don't think we need it.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Just quit while you're ahead, please.
Yep.
Got an architect.
Agreed with you.
He still gets paid?
Check the contract.
You have to say it louder.
I'd like to make a motion for final resolution.
A positive resolution?
Positive resolution, thank you.
I'll second that motion.
Okay.
Vice Chairman Fuller?
Yes.
Mr. Ashkenazi?
Yes.
Mr. DeLomo?
Yes.
Ms. Whitman?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is this really your first one that you've ever done? Or?
No,
Oh,
first
just
one
here. Okay.
Fourth overall.
Well, welcome to Ocean Township.
Absolutely. Yeah, please do. Thank you.
Oh, you told me that. You told me that.
in the state legislature when you have your first bill up for a full vote.
That's awesome. I love that.
Everybody votes no. But they don't close the board. But they, so you, they, it all goes red.
Okay, so
And
we're
then
still on the
slowly
record.
returns to-
Just, we haven't adjourned yet.
We make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Have a great day. Great night.
I like